In 1878, Dodge City, Kansas, buzzed with energy and excitement, its dusty streets alive with the sounds of horses, laughter, and distant gunshots. This frontier town was a melting pot for cowboys, settlers, and outlaws seeking fortune or fame. The saloons were filled with patrons enjoying rough-and-tumble games of poker, while tunes from the piano spilled into the air, setting a vibrant scene. Yet beneath the lively facade lay an underlying tension. The threat of rowdy gangs loomed large. These outlaws thought they owned the streets, swaggering with confidence as they strutted through town. The locals often spoke in hushed tones, fearful of their raucous behaviors and merciless pranks. Among this lively chaos was Elias Reed, the humble piano player in one of the saloons. His fingers danced over the keys, producing music that brought joy to many. Little did the townsfolk know that this timid musician concealed an extraordinary secret. He was a legendary U.S. Marshal in hiding, poised to protect the very town that seemed oblivious to his true strength. Elias Reed sat quietly at the worn piano in the corner of the saloon, his fingers gently gliding over the keys as he played a soothing melody. His soft brown eyes often glanced nervously around the room, taking in the wild antics of rowdy cowboys and boisterous outlaws. With his unassuming nature and modest clothing, few could guess that this mild-mannered musician held a powerful secret. Years ago, Elias earned a reputation as a fearless U.S. Marshal, known for bringing justice to lawless towns. However, after witnessing too much violence and heartbreak, he chose to leave that life behind. Seeking peace in Dodge City, he hoped to live simply as a piano player, away from the chaos of his past. But each note he played carried whispers of his true identity. Whenever trouble brewed or the town's safety was threatened, Elias felt the stirrings of his old self rise within him. Deep down, he knew that when push came to shove, there was more to him than met the eye. He was ready and waiting to protect those who called Dodge City home. One hot afternoon, the peace of Dodge City was shattered when a gang of outlaws rode in, their laughter echoing off the wooden buildings. Dust swirling around their heels, they swaggered into town with a sense of entitlement that made everyone uneasy. Clad in rough leather and wide-brimmed hats, these men were notorious for their reckless behavior and quick tempers. As they dismounted, the townsfolk paused, exchanging worried glances, knowing all too well the trouble these men brought. In the saloon, the raucous gang wasted no time making themselves at home. They shouted orders for drinks while tossing coins carelessly on the bar, demanding attention from the frightened bartender. Their rowdy laughter filled the air as they picked on anyone who dared cross their path, challenging men to card games that quickly turned sour and intimidating local women with crude comments. The outlaws' cruel antics sent shivers down the spines of those who watched from the shadows. Among them was Elias Reed, whose heart raced as he felt the weight of his hidden identity grow heavier. He knew he would soon have to decide whether to step up against these bullies or remain silent in fear. As the gang settled into the saloon, their raucous laughter filled the room, drowning out Elias's gentle melodies. He attempted to maintain his composure while feeling their eyes on him, but their taunts soon broke through his focus. "Look at this sleepy piano player." One outlaw jeered, mockingly imitating Elias's soft demeanor as he pounded out a lively tune. Others joined in, pointing and laughing as they tossed insults like stones. Elias could feel his cheeks burning with embarrassment, his fingers trembling on the keys. The once soothing music became a struggle as he fought to keep playing amidst the jeers. Each mocking comment cut deeper than the last, reminding him of how fragile his peace was in this dangerous town. He longed to avoid conflict, to blend into the background where he felt safest. But deep down, a flicker of anger sparked within him. Though fear gripped his heart, Elias knew he couldn't let their cruelty go unchecked forever. With every laugh that echoed around him, the realization grew stronger. His desire for quiet might soon clash with his duty to protect those he cared about. Just as Elias began to regain his focus on the piano, the atmosphere shifted dramatically when one of the outlaws turned his attention to a young waitress named Clara. She was serving drinks nearby, her hands shaking as she approached the gang's table. "Hey, pretty girl," one of the outlaws shouted, grabbing her arm roughly. "Why don't you come over here and entertain us?" The laughter of the gang filled the room like a dark cloud, and Clara's face went pale with fear. Elias watched in horror as she tried to pull away, her eyes darting around for help. The cruel mockery that had been directed at him now targeted her, and something inside Elias snapped. He recognized that this was no longer just about him. It was about standing up for someone who could not defend herself. In that moment, the weight of his hidden identity pressed heavily on his chest. Elias knew he could no longer hide behind his piano, had to act before the situation escalated further. The quiet strength within him stirred as he prepared to confront the outlaws, realizing that true courage often emerged in times of crisis. As the laughter of the outlaws rang in his ears, Elias felt a war raging inside him. Part of him longed to stay hidden behind the piano, to avoid confrontation and keep his secret life as a U.S. Marshal buried deep. But the sight of Clara's terrified face stirred something fierce within him, awakening the protector he thought he had left behind. He understood that every moment he hesitated allowed the outlaws to tighten their grip on the town and its people. Elias wrestled with conflicting emotions. Fear and courage danced together in his heart. He feared that revealing himself would put others in danger, yet he knew that silence could cost innocent lives. The desire for peace clashed violently with his instinct to fight for justice. As he glanced around the saloon, he saw the anxious faces of townsfolk waiting for someone to take action. With their eyes upon him, Elias felt the weight of their expectations. In that moment, he realized that true bravery meant stepping into the light, not remaining shrouded in shadows. He took a deep breath, ready to embrace his calling and protect those who could not protect themselves. With a deep breath, Elias felt a surge of determination wash over him. The laughter of the outlaws faded into the background as he stepped away from the piano, his heart pounding with purpose. He could no longer stand by and watch Clara and the townsfolk suffer at the hands of these bullies. In that moment, he embraced his true identity as a U.S. Marshal, knowing he had the skills to protect those who needed him. Elias squared his shoulders and walked toward the gang, each step fueled by a newfound courage. The saloon fell silent as eyes turned toward him, surprise etched on every face as they recognized the usually timid piano player was no longer hiding. "Enough," Elias declared, his voice steady and strong. The outlaws paused, caught off guard by his sudden assertiveness. "You think you can walk in here and terrorize innocent people? Not anymore." As he faced them, a fire ignited within him, a fierce commitment to justice that overshadowed his past fears. It was time to reclaim Dodge City from their grasp. As the tension in the saloon thickened, all eyes were on Elias as he stood tall before the outlaws. They exchanged bewildered glances, unsure of what to make of this newfound confidence from the quiet piano player they once mocked. With a swift motion, Elias reached for his gun, a smooth movement that spoke volumes of his skill. The gang's bravado faltered, replaced by uncertainty. "Draw your weapons," Elias commanded, his voice calm yet firm. The outlaws hesitated, sizing him up against their own bluster. In an instant, chaos erupted. Bullets flew through the air as Elias moved with agility and precision, dodging and firing with the skill of a seasoned marshal. His movements showcased a fluid grace, surprising both the outlaws and the townsfolk who had only ever seen him at the piano. In the midst of the fray, he demonstrated not just his expertise with a gun, but also an unwavering resolve to protect those who relied on him. Each shot he fired was a message. Dodge City would no longer fall victim to fear. This showdown was more than a battle. It was a reclaiming of his identity and the town he loved. As the dust settled from the fierce confrontation, the townsfolk stood in stunned silence, their eyes wide with disbelief. They had always known Elias as the gentle piano player, a man who brought music to the saloon and smiles to their faces. But now they were witnessing a transformation that felt like something out of a storybook. Elias Reed, once timid and unassuming, had become a heroic figure defending their home. Whispers filled the air as people exchanged glances, each one processing the incredible sight before them. "Is that really him?" someone murmured in awe. The fear that had gripped them all was slowly replaced by a sense of hope and pride. They cheered for him, knowing that he had risked everything to protect them from the outlaws. Elias caught their gaze, feeling their encouragement bolster his resolve. He realized that he was not just fighting for Clara or himself, he was standing up for his entire community. In that moment, he inspired courage in those around him, proving that true strength often lies hidden within the most unexpected of people. As calm returned to the saloon, Elias surveyed the scene around him. The townsfolk, once gripped by fear, were now filled with a sense of relief and gratitude. The outlaws had been driven out, and the laughter of children began to echo in the streets once more. Elias felt the weight of his actions wash over him, realizing that he had restored peace to Dodge City through courage he never knew he possessed. He stepped outside, where the sun cast warm rays across the dusty street. People gathered around him, their expressions a mix of admiration and newfound respect. Clara approached, her eyes shining with appreciation. "You saved us," she said softly, her voice trembling with emotion. Elias smiled gently, reflecting on how true strength comes from within. He realized that his quiet presence had always held the potential for bravery. It just took a moment of crisis to bring it forth. As he looked at the smiling faces around him, he understood that protecting his community was not just about wielding a gun, but also about having the heart to stand up for what was right. In the aftermath of the confrontation, Dodge City began to heal, slowly returning to its lively spirit. Elias Reed's bravery had ignited a spark within the townsfolk, reminding them that courage could be found in the most unexpected places. The once timid piano player had shown them that standing up against injustice is not reserved for the loud or the boastful. Even those who appear unassuming can possess remarkable strength and resolve. As children played in the streets and laughter echoed through the saloon, Elias understood that his actions would inspire others to find their own voices. The town was united in gratitude, and he knew they would no longer tolerate bullying or fear. This resolution marked a new beginning for Dodge City, where everyone had a role in protecting one another. Elias smiled as he watched his community flourish, realizing that true heroism lies not just in facing danger, but also in empowering others. In every heart beats the potential for bravery, waiting for the right moment to shine forth and make a difference.